as a surprise to us. But I also understand that there's always there's a public outrage out there. Last night, this huge gathering, unprecedented in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, today too outside the court. So people, the government intended initially to use these to embarrass me and smear me. It is not working in their favor. And of course, the international community, the international media, and foreign governments too. And I must thank them for all that.
Can you describe for us the feeling in your gut when you realized that you were acquitted?
Well, I mean, of course, I'm extremely happy. I mean, thank God that this is over. At least for the first phase, we don't know what's the outcome. The system is still blatantly authoritarian. There's no judicial independence. I've been interviewed now by all these national media networks, but not a word on the prime time television in our own country. So you can sense the complete control by the hands of government. But I still feel great, and I was with my family. As these are the children, they were ecstatic, and the crowd over there was just disbelief. They know under the system. I was ready. I got my toiletries. I got my medicine all set for the possibility of going back to prison.
So mentally, you were prepared if the verdict had gone the other way. Now, Mr. Anwar, you have just finished speaking with your thousands of supporters outside of the courthouse, and you told them that you will topple the current government in the next election. How do you plan to do that?
2008, we were almost there. In Peninsular Malaya, popular votes, we crossed the 50%. We lost only in Sabah and Sarawak. So now we have gained more foothold in the peninsula and got able to penetrate into Sabah and Sarawak. So I'm very confident. Our only concern now is to ensure that the elections remain free and fair.
And those elections are supposed to be called by the spring of next year. What will you focus on between now and whenever the current Prime Minister calls these elections? What specifically will you be doing? Who will you be visiting?
The elections must be held this year. Normally that would be the end of the term. And normally they would have it in the British system called after 4.5 years, almost time now. So what I need to do is go across the country, visit constituencies, meet the people in the absence of the media. We only have to rely on the alternative media, the internet. Otherwise, we have no access to the people. This smearing campaign continues. The CIA agent, the foreign agent, crypto-Christian, not a Muslim, and things like that. I mean, it's a daily feature in our primetime television. So you have to meet people to tell them, look, I'm a Muslim, but we have to be fair to the rest. And we are working, and I am very optimistic.
Now, you have said that the first sodomy trial was politically charged and the charges were politically motivated. And you've said also in this time around, for this trial, those charges were also politically motivated. Are you concerned that more charges will pop up?
Well, it would be clearly insane if they think of preferring new charges. I mean, the battle should be confined to a political battle. There must be some semblance of civility. I've been calling on Prime Minister to have negotiations with the opposition, but since it's too often in the last 3 years, there's hardly one meeting with the opposition leaders. So I think this time they should meet and stop this charade, this political charade, this nonsense, because clearly the public is clearly enraged by this. And they don't follow the Burma or the Zimbabwe style of operations. You can't win.
Mr. Anwar, your rallying cry has been Reform C, calling for reforms in your country. You've called for the authoritarian laws to be loosened. You've also asked for more opportunities for ethnic groups, particularly the Chinese and the Indians, because the Malays get the priority in Malaysia. But the Prime Minister has also called for reforms like abolishing political detentions and detentions without trial. Do you think these reforms are sincere efforts by the current Prime Minister or just lip service?
Well, any pronouncement by the Prime Minister undertaking measures towards reform has been supported by us, the opposition. But his call to defend the Internet Security Act has not materialized. He is now replacing it with two other draconian laws. His call for the abolishment of the repressive measures against students, the Act, the University Colleges Act, has not only been tabled to the Parliament, but instead, students having peaceful assembly of 300 people beaten by the police. So you don't see any semblance of seriousness or consistency on the part of Prime Minister Najib. Look at the media. If you talk about reform, you must start at the media. The media is completely controlled and so boycotted to the extreme in this country.
And you had mentioned...
Racist slurs continue. I mean, calling for example, us as being pro-Christian and the Christians that are Christianizing the entire Muslim population is completely absurd.
And you had mentioned that you're talking to international media outlets, but the main media in Malaysia is not even interviewing you today, even though this is the biggest story of the day today. And you also said that you're really going to count on meeting people and getting the message out because they're not getting the message from the media. You're also hoping to get the message out through the internet. But do the people that you're meeting, especially out in the countryside, have access to the internet? Can they get the message through any sort of media?
That's true. I mean, that's our major problem. The rural heartland cannot be reached through internet penetration. We have to appear, and this is an harder stuff. Sometimes we have to walk hours. Sometimes we have to travel, very, very difficult condition by boat, etc. And sometimes, of course, the police will refuse us permits. But this is the case in point. You have a landmark case here, of interest to Malaysians, either they are pro or against Anwar in the media, but, and I've been interviewed by all international media outlets except the Malaysian media.
Now, your supporters outside of the courthouse today, there were thousands of them. They were allowed to congregate because the police did issue a permit. They actually allowed this rally to happen. Do you see that as a small step forward?
Yeah, we did express our appreciation because there's a small window given, although a lot of conditions imposed, and but still, I mean, I would consider this is unprecedented, they've allowed, but also because I think there's a huge international media and diplomatic corps present, and I don't think they want to create a scene unnecessarily, because whether they allow or not, people will congregate.
And
but it was that the police took that stance and even assisted in some ways our movement to the court and outside.
And Mr. Anwar, I know you're resting right now because it's been a very emotional morning for you. You had just told me before we started that you were sipping a nice cup of coffee, but you do have a lot on your agenda starting tonight. What is your plan tonight?
Well, I traveled to Bombay to meet up with Mohan Gandhi. Then after one day in Bombay, I will move to Istanbul, an invitation of the Prime Minister to speak in Istanbul in the Prime Minister's office on freedom, democracy and the Muslim world. Then come back for our national convention of the opposition. There I think we'll have a new boost. And I think we are all geared up for the election.
Mr. Anwar Ibrahim, thank you very much for speaking with us here on CNN International. Anwar Ibrahim, the opposition leader in Malaysia, who was acquitted today, just a couple of hours ago, of sodomy charges. I'm Pauline Chu. You're watching CNN, the world's news leader, and we return you now to CNN Newsroom with Don Lemon.